If you don't hit the target, it's not the target's fault. The reason that we earn what we earn is not because of our potential. The reason we earn what we earn is a result of our conditioning. So you have to reinvent yourself. You've got to think in a different way, not just today, not just tomorrow, not the next day, every day. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? Amazing. And hi to everybody at home. We've got people from, I don't know how many different countries watching from all over the world. And so welcome, and make sure you join in. We've got people that are there to take your questions as well. But Jim and I met each other back in 1995, and I adopted him as my younger brother. And he's just been a phenomenal shining star in my life, and has taken a lot of the information that he learned and I learned, and has really put it into use to make an amazing life for himself. And he's got a great company that teaches the ultimate game of life around happiness, health, and wealth, and does some amazing, amazing work. So Jim, thank you so much. So why are you here? And I'm going to answer that because I think I know the answer. And number one, I think you're here because you're really looking to understand how to put the financial puzzle together of your life. And whether it's to earn more income, manage it, invest it, and protect it so that you have a nest egg and so that you have the ability to live the lifestyle of your dreams, is why you're here. Would that be pretty accurate? And so one of the things that I really want to dive into, and we've asked every one of the experts to make this as experiential as possible. One of my core beliefs is that the sage on the stage days are over. And when you listen and absorb information at an event like this, or online, or on CDs. I was going to say cassette tapes. That tells you how old I am, right? Cassette tapes, which is where I started. What's interesting is you absorb the information at a conscious level in the front cortex of the brain, but if it doesn't get embedded into the memory system of the brain for long-term memory and for habitual thought patterns and behavior, for the most part, you've just done something that made you feel good. You've done something that gives you the illusion that you've actually learned something. And the truth of the matter is you really haven't. Learning is when you take information and you apply it, and the visceral experience and response that you gain is the learning. And then when you repeat it, you reinforce the learning. And when you reinforce the learning over and over and over and over again, like you did when you learned how to drive a car, like you did when you learned how to put on makeup, like you did when you learned how to brush your teeth or eat food or learn the language that you learned when you were first born, that is what it takes to change who you are into who you want to be. And so what I want to really help you understand is, how do you play full out where you're totally engaged? And how do you feel, that you're gaining knowledge? How do you feel the frustration and move through it anyway? How do you feel like, holy mackerel, this information is too complex for me? How do you feel like, wow, this is easy and I don't really have to do much with it because I already know this stuff? Now, I guarantee you're going to hear some things you've already heard before. And the question I'd love you to ask yourself is, are you applying what you learned? Are you applying what you already know? Because I can't tell you how many times I talk to individuals around the world about the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, the different parts of the brain. Go, yeah, I've heard that before. So great. Well, are you innercising every day? Are you taking care of the most powerful tool in the universe, your brain, and really priming it every single day to be able to achieve the goals that you want to achieve? Because there's a huge difference between the dream and the reality. And what I always suggest is most people spend their time, all right, hoping and praying that their dreams will become a reality. Yet when you take a look at the behaviors, which is what is responsible for your results at a causal level, which means your behaviors are semi-responsible for your results. And the reason I say that, it's your inner beliefs and habits and perceptions and paradigms and values that drive your behavior. Everybody's got goals and dreams, all right? But very few people understand how to bridge the gap between the goal that you have and the dream that you have. And it usually shows up with this nasty, dirty 4-letter word. It's called work. And there's a lot of people who are busy doing the work, but they really don't know what it takes, and they're not really putting in the effort of what it really takes to achieve their goals and dreams. Now, if my hallucination is correct, you're not here because you want to live an average life with scarcity thinking and scarcity mentality, nor do you want to live a life just that is secure. Now, somebody who has just enough feels secure. Now, in many cases, can that security be taken away from you? Absolutely. And so how do you move yourself into a space of success? Not just financial success, but emotional success, spiritual success, so that you know that there's enough for you. And then how do you get to that next level, which is really what I love to talk about, and how do you get to the level of significance? Now, would I be accurate in suggesting that one of the reasons you're here is success is great, but significance is really where the game is that you want to play? Say aye? Aye. Absolutely. And so everybody has a different meaning for what is significance. And I can share with you in my own life, it has changed. What I thought was significant in my 20s and 30s changed when I became a father. And once I became a father and have raised my children, that now one's off to college and one's about to go to college next year, it really has become, the last several years, about making a huge difference on the planet while I'm here. And somehow, using my knowledge, my skills, my money, my friends, my connections, to be able to have a bigger impact beyond my own needs or my family's needs. And so there is good news and there's challenging news. Is it okay if I share with you the challenging news first? So we're going to go on a little roller coaster ride. And then we're going to do some innercises where I want you in action in the next 15 minutes, starting to plan your life of significance. All right? And we're going to guide you between the speakers that we have over the next 3 days and the experts that we have on exactly how to do that. And would you agree, as I mentioned just before, that money is just a tool? All it is just a tool to give you that discretionary time to do what you really want to do, to have more fun, to love more deeply, to give more, and to be more. I don't think anybody here, if you had $10 million extra dollars in the bank right now, would sleep in till noon, often. Maybe a few times, but not on a regular basis. And so my entire life of personal growth and professional growth has been around really understanding what does it really take from the inside and what does it take on the outside. What do I really have to learn, the skills, the knowledge, the strategies, and the tactics to be able to make that a reality? The bad news is in the financial game and in the game of significance, okay, but financially motivated for now, the odds are against most people. if you're 100% logical, shut off your emotions, but if you're 100% logical, okay, about retirement and about having enough money, all right, and this is for the U.S. people only, so if you're watching from around the world or you're here, I saw Mexico and Switzerland and Ireland, a couple from Ireland, and here in Australia. The stats are going to be very, very similar, but only 16% of Americans say that they believe and have confidence that they'll save enough money for a comfortable retirement. Now, comfortable is relative, right? What may be comfortable for one person, comfortable, is not comfortable for somebody else. And so 43% of Americans have less than $10,000 in savings for retirement. 43%. And I'm not going to ask you where you fit into this because it's irrelevant, because the past does not equal the future. All right? 29% of Americans have less than $1,000 saved for retirement. Now, this isn't about retirement. This is about being real and statistics. And about 30%, all right, are on track to having enough for retirement. Now, here's one of the hardest things for most people to do, is to project into the future a realistic vision and strategy that'll actually get them there. Most people use hope and prayer as their strategies, I mentioned earlier. And here's one question I've got to ask every one of you. How old do you think you'll be before you die? So how many of you know the number you need from the time you decide to stop doing what you're doing to the age of your death? Your physical death. How's that? Let's not make it so absolute. Most people haven't taken into consideration that if you wanted to start taking it easy at, let's say, age 50 or 60 or 70, if you were to live another 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 years and take into consideration inflation, take into consideration your lifestyle, take into consideration what it would mean for you to be significant, how much do you need in order to do that? Most people do not know the number. And guess what? If you don't hit the target, it's not the target's fault. The target doesn't care. So how much will you need to live off of? If you had $1 million in liquid assets that was gaining about 4% a year, pre-taxes, that would give you about $4,000 gross, and depending on whether you have Social Security or some other form of retirement plan, you can add it to that. But $1 million at 4% will give you $4,000 or $30-some-odd $100 a month less taxes to be able to live on. How many of you can live a life of significance doing what you want to do with a $1,000 nest egg? All right? At $2 million, and this does not include your primary real estate, because you have to live somewhere. So your primary home that you live in isn't giving you money. It's actually costing you some money. So this is in liquid investable assets. So how many of you would feel a lot better around the $2 million at 4% right now and have, $8,000 or $70-some-odd $100 a month to live on? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. How many of you would really much prefer the $3 to $5 million mark, so you can have, between $120,000 and $200,000 a year, okay, in income? Raise your hands up high, 2 if you really like it. So here's the question for you. How are you going to get there? How are you going to get there? And this is just straight math, okay? This is just straight math. All right, so just some of the things to think about. If you are 35 years old right now, the basic rule of thumb is you've got to save at least, or have at least 1 times your yearly salary saved at the age of 35 at a predictable interest rate that will appreciate over time, so that by the time you're 65, you have at least a hope that that will be enough to start your retirement. At 45, you have to have 3 times your annual income in savings, in an investment working vehicle for it to grow enough to be able to have a decent chance of having enough money. If you're 55, you've got to have 5 times your annualized salary or income right now. And if you're 65, you've got to have 8 times that amount of money. At least. These are some baseline numbers. They're not the be-all and end-all. Some people will suggest that 35, it's 2 times. Some people suggest it's 12 times at 65. But where I want your head to go is, if you don't know the number, when would now be a good time to start learning about it? The reason that we earn what we earn is not because of our potential. The reason we earn what we earn is a result of our conditioning. The reason you have what you have right now can be circumstances, and it also is mostly due to your past behaviors, past thoughts, past emotions. And today is the change that is going to happen for you to get to the next level. And so what I want to share with you is, I have modeled people my whole life. And what I mean by that is, I've looked for evidence in other people to give me hope for myself. And many of you know my story. I grew up in an average home. Father was a cab driver. Mom worked at a local department store. And Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous was where I got a lot of my inspiration, as well as the sauna at the YMHA, the Young Men's Hebrew Association, across the street from where we lived in Montreal, where I met a lot of very successful businessmen. And when I heard their stories of where they came from, and I heard their stories of what they overcome, it just gave me hope and inspiration that maybe, even though I didn't think I was smart enough or good enough, maybe I could have some kind of a decent lifestyle as I got older. But it started off with hope that was borrowed hope from other people. It started off with listening to people who were already achieving the success that I want to achieve, and then modeling their thought patterns and behaviors. And so when you are in front of the individuals that are going to be speaking for the next 3 or 4 days, these are individuals that are just like you and me, that are applying some different strategies and tactics. But they are all putting on their clothes the same way. They all go to the bathroom the same way. They all get into their car pretty much the same way. They all have the same doubts and fears and insecurities and lack of confidence and lack of certainty about certain parts of their life. They're just human beings, just like you and me, that have made the commitment after the decision to do whatever it takes. And you've heard me talk about my first mentor before he agreed to mentor me. He asked me a question. He said, "Are you interested in achieving success and the lifestyle of your dreams, or are you committed?" And when I asked him what the difference was, he said to me, "If you're interested, you'll do what's convenient. You'll come up with stories and excuses and reasons why you can't do this or can't do that, or it's too hard, or I don't understand, and you won't pay the price it takes to really do it." He says, "If you're committed, you'll do whatever it takes." And so the question for you is, are you now ready, finally, to do whatever it takes? Because these people, all right, that I'm about to show you just broke the mold. And what you have to be willing to do is break your own mold. You've got to break the mold of who you are right now so you can expand into the person you're capable of becoming and achieving the results you're capable of achieving. Every one of you is capable of 3x, 5x, 10x your current results right now. But you can't do it with the thinking that's gotten you to where you are. You can't do it with the skills that have gotten you to where you are. You can't do it with the knowledge that's gotten you to where you are. And you can't do it with the behaviors that's gotten you to where you are. What's gotten you here will not get you there. So you have to reinvent yourself. You've got to think in a different way, not just today, not just tomorrow, not the next day, every day. And you have to get so connected to the emotions of change that you start to manage them and control them versus allow them to pull you back into your comfort zone. Do you know what your comfort zone is? You're in it. You're in your comfort zone. And unless you get prepared and take action and understand that you need to pre-commit, that when you feel uncomfortable, when you feel embarrassed, when you feel like you're not smart enough, when you feel like you're not good enough, when you feel like you're not, fill in the blank, you recognize the feeling, you reframe what it means, you release the emotion, and you retrain your brain to play at the highest level of your game. That's the 4R process. Recognize, reframe, release, and retrain. Because it's only in the retraining that you set up a new neural network and a new neural pathway that when you reinforce it through repetition, over and over and over and over and over and over again, then you start to think differently, you start to feel different things, you start to behave differently. Now, some people think that that's a silly exercise. And I can share with you from personal experience that in 99.9% of the cases, you will never hit a goal you don't set. And if you shoot for the stars and you end up with the moon, you're still in space, and that's perfect. And so one of the things to understand about your brain is when you set a vision and a goal for yourself, even if you don't know how to achieve it, and you will allow yourself to ask yourself the right question of how can I achieve this? What product, what service, what investment vehicle could I use in order to achieve it? Then you start to introduce to yourself possibility thinking. Because what most people do is they look at a check or they look at a goal and they relate their old paradigms, their old experience, their old beliefs, they relate to those, and they say, well, I don't know how to do this. And then they allow themselves to focus on what they don't know how to do or what they haven't done in the past or what they've tried in the past, and they take from their memory banks and from their experience banks information, and they bring it into their future and their present moment and act as if it's real. And that sets up your entire paradigm of what you think, what you feel, what you see, and what you do. Now here's something to think about. If I asked each one of you that wrote that number down to think about the person that you love the most in the world other than yourself, if I said to you, you will never see that person again, ever, if you don't make that number a reality, how many of you would start to think differently today? How many of you would go out of your way to find out what's the skill I need to learn? What's the knowledge I need to gain? Who do I need to connect with? What's the emotion I need to let go of? What's the emotion I need to start? What is the behavior I need to take? How many of you would become better with time management? How many of you would stop wasting time on the trivial things and start focusing on the critical things? Just about every one of you would change, wouldn't you? Well, how come? What happened? How could you make that shift in 1 second when we put something as serious as somebody that you love on the line? Why does it take that thinking to get you to realize that in order for you to have what it is that you want to have, you have to change? Sense of urgency. A big enough why. There's a part of you that wants the amount of money that you wrote down on that check. There's a part of you that wants the lifestyle that you have in your mind of what that money will allow you to do, right? There's a lifestyle that you see yourself. There's a life of significance that you know is your birthright. Something inside of you, that seed inside of you, is pinching from within, prodding from within. And the day that you and that dream become one, and you have practiced, drilled, and rehearsed in private and in public enough to make what you want and who you are one, that is the day that you'll be able to cash that check. Anything other than that is not going to be enough. Anything other than that is not going to be enough. You and that goal and that dream has got to have such a burning desire within you, such a feeling within you that you are prepared and willing to practice, drill, and rehearse every day. And you are willing to stumble and fall, and you are willing to get back up, and you're willing to be embarrassed, and you're willing to be ashamed, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to win that Oscar for yourself. See, this isn't about anybody else. It's not about what the person next to you thinks, your sibling, significant other, parent, friend. It's not about what they think. See, at the end of the day, this is about you. This is about you going, yo, this is my masterpiece. This is my Hollywood script. And you feeling proud of you. Screw everybody else. This is your life. This is your movie. And right now, this is the take. Now, we are in the movie right now. There isn't 10 years from now. There isn't 5 years from now. There's right now. And the clearer you can be about the script right now, the easier it is to prime your brain, this genius marvel of 100 billion cells, trillions of connections, keeps you alive, keeps you breathing, has you seeing things, magical, miraculous things, but it doesn't let you see things that you are not wired or conditioned to see. You have to be so clear on the script, and you've got to look at that script and rehearse it every day so that you prime your brain to think differently. You prime your brain, all right, to develop the new beliefs. You prime your brain to gain the daily motivation and inspiration. And that is the fire that needs to be set so that your brain starts to see things that you don't see right now. You're seeing things right now that match your inner script. And if your inner script doesn't match the check that you have just written to yourself, you're just going to keep achieving the script you've got. Hey, this is John, and if you liked that video, watch the next video because it is packed with things that you can do right now to achieve success way faster than ever before.